It's a beautiful Tuesday morning in the city of Abuja. Thank you so much for being part of this program, and thank you for joining us on our newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja. My name is Lawrence Omoite. Welcome to the show. Well, as usual, we will be taking a look at the headlines across the dailies today. And please invite NLC in the Guardian newspaper today, and I guess in virtually all the other newspapers. Still staying with the Guardian newspapers, appeal courts to hear case on ex-CJN Onogen's removal from office. Ashimolowo loses 200 million naira to bank shares, warns Nigerians. Awolowo's dream of united Nigeria unfulfilled. This is according to the daughter of cost 29 million naira. And we have also some other stories. Navy destroys illegal diesel refinery in Rivers State. Prioritizing workers' welfare as minimum wage implementation kicks off. And also we have lobbyists make case for CSS return as Super Eagles coach. Security agencies must share intelligence to curb insecurity. Well, those are the headlines that you can find on the... And our next stop is the Nation newspapers. $500 million bond investors to get 9.7% barred from Naira conversion. NNPCL shareholders to get 2.1 trillion naira dividends. And we also have federal government begins disbursement of 200 billion naira to 75 big firms and MSMEs. And we also have Naira crude sale to Dangote other refineries fixed for October the 1st. Alleged terrorism, financing others. Police invite NLC boss Ajero. And according to lawyers ahead of the appointment of an acting CJN, lawyers are saying what we expect from Kekere Eko. Justice Kekere Eko is expected. Our concerns over proliferation of arms by security experts. COS, Kwankwaso's nephew, others under probe. Doctors demand release of abducted colleague, 20 medical students. All right, the Tribune is next. The Tribune newspapers, and it leads with the Ajero story. NLC confirms police invite to Ajero on terrorism investigation. And the President Tinubu names new NDPHC management team. President Tinubu flies to France in new presidential jet. From the Tribune to the Punch newspapers, and it leads with Warsons. That's the lead story. on the front page of the Punch newspapers. And we also have Tinubu panel, Dangote refinery agree on September petrol rollout. Why minimum wage payments may delay. Court reserves judgment on Bayelsa presidential jet. This is according to this. NLC protests as police probe agenda. Chinese embassy case are some of the headlines on the front page of the Punch newspapers. Our next port of call is the Leadership newspaper. Concerns over fate of 20 abducted medical students. Nigeria sports sector toxic with vested interest, says minister. NOC President Gumel bags FIBA award. Security arrangements, Southern farmers protest. And Guba polls INEC to present final copy 21-day ultimatum over unmet demands. And still staying with the Sun newspaper, Bayelsa Supreme over to the power sector. Nigerians grapple with soaring meter cost as price nears 200 and amid weak fiscal policy. And for some business stories, CBN unveils new exchange rates for pounds, euros as naira settles at 1,579 naira. Lingering fuel scarcity. Well, those are some of the headlines we can take and the newspapers today. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we will look at some of the stories in detail. It's still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja. The program returns shortly. Please don't go away.
Citizen FM Abuja. Now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM Abuja. Citizen FM. Citizen FM. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM. Citizen FM. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Citizen FM. Citizen FM. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM. Citizen FM. Yeah. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Epa! 3.7 Citizen FM, the latest radio station based in Nigeria's capital. Our station seeks to broadcast a broad mix of culture and views with priority given to development programming to enable residents share ideas and opinions, music and drama. At Citizen FM, we believe in progressive talk and solution-driven conversation. Our aim is to build a united Nigeria by bringing people of diverse culture together through communication. Enjoy listening to 93.7 Citizen FM. We are more than just a radio station. We are a part of your life.
Oya o my people, make una come gather here. Which kind tori una wan hear on top radio? Wetin dey catch fire on top Thursday, and the time na 5:10, wey be 10.
Need a lift? What to do? Women's Corner is waiting just for you. Education, work, lifestyle, career, mentorship, and family too.
We will tackle the issues, provide solutions, and see you through.
Finding your voice, reaching heights at 1 p.m. for inspiring stories and practical advice to reach all your glories.
It's Women's Corner on Citizen 92.
Did you miss out on the news during the week? Respect is a complete package of Esther Nwosu on the program Retrospect. We keep you informed.
The issues.
Everybody respected that because it was coming from the president.
Purely behind it, the way the people took the battle in their hands.
Some civil servant retired without a roof over his head.
The cause.
If we cannot trust you, then you cannot take the ticket of this country. Hussein cannot be divulged from those who cause the crime. Honestly.
The passion.
You must have national spread. So where is it?
Why are you so concerned about that?
He said money was...
I never...
No.
Lawrence Umoite.
There is always an opportunity.
Tomorrow Insight returns with another interesting...
Insight with Lawrence Umoite on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Be part of the experience.
Citizen FM Abuja.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's still Newsview, and this is where we look at some of the stories in details. And my guest is here, Mr. Abdulwaris Solanke. Thank you so much for making it this morning, sir.
All glory to God.
I know that yesterday, because of the heavy downpour, it was impossible for you to make it to the program, to the studio.
It's one of those things.
Yes, Mr. Solanke is a veteran journalist, a very senior member of the media community. Mr. Solanke, so much to talk about today, but let's start with the fuel situation in the country. And staying with the Punch newspaper, tankers besiege depots as petrol shortage worsens. And to load petrol for onward delivery to the states across the country as the scarcity worsens. It was gathered that though some of the trucks had started loading, the supply of the products by the NNPCL was still not enough. Oil marketers confirmed the commencement of loading, but expressed fear that the queues may not disappear until Friday. Mr. Solanke.
Well, we know that petrol powers our economy, powers almost every aspect of our life. So if we take it from that perspective, we realize that it is becoming it should be treated as a national emergency. That no aspect of our national life is crippled. Resources to power the economy, a lot of costs are incurred. Not only even at the individual level, your income is screamed off by the expensive petrol that people have to seek at the black market. So we should begin to see petrol as an issue of national emergency. That at no time should we fall into a situation where the economy, the social life, the economic life of the nation will be grounded. And it's because it incurs a heavy cost on not only on the economy, but even on our international image. How can we allow a resource that is in abundance in our country to not become an albatross on us? And so that is why we must take it as an issue of national emergency, as also as a security issue, that at no time must fuel be scarce in the country.
All right, still staying with the fuel situation, and on September petrol rollout, The federal government committee, which was set up to ensure the implementation of crude oil sales to local refineries in Naira, has reached an agreement with the Dangote Petroleum Refinery for the rollout of petrol in September this year. The federal government also disclosed that the sale of crude oil to Dangote refineries and other local refineries will commence on October 1st, 2024. This is good news, Mr. Sholanke.
Yes, it's a very good news. Let me tell you something yesterday when I was in the cab that took me. And we should not begin to disperse or discount street economics as nonsense. If you see what some people are saying, that why has the president not just given waiver that petrol should be sold to Dangote refinery, and the passion with which these people are discussing it, you understand, you begin to see that everybody seems to have an idea on what should be done in running the country. Almost you now have experts in various aspects of it. Don't think that they don't know. Don't discount them. Don't think they are ordinary people. Sometimes when you listen to ideas, you know that people are actually passionate about Nigeria. People are passionate about governance. People are passionate about how government should run. So what it means is government should begin to feel the public pulse in terms of how the country should run. Sometimes so-called policy experts, they are inside their offices. They don't know what the public feel. And so this, at the local refineries, is a smart decision. It's welcome feeling. And so that is sense of responsibility on the part of the government, that you do not, as I've said earlier, fuel is like the soul of our national life now. Anything that happens in the supply or marketing of petroleum or any other energy. For instance, a few days ago, we were actually talking about electricity. You remember? And my submission then was, what we should now begin to interrogate what areas of our national life should also be subsidized.
Exactly.
Now I read, is it yesterday or early this morning, that universities and tertiary health institutions, that is colleges of medicine or hospitals in that realm, that electricity is going to be subsidized for them. So what we are saying is there are so many areas of public life that the government should begin to look at innovatively at solving, that everything should not be about commercialism, about privatization. I remember in a public policy class some years ago, the lecturer set a question, said, privatization is good or bad? Discuss. And from what we have seen how the public sector was run in the past, we felt government has no business in business. And by the time the lecturer analyzed that, there are some strategic sectors of the economy that you cannot allow to be put in the hands just to be commercialized, to be privatized or whatever. But yes, and the reality is a responsible government must necessarily intervene in critical sectors of the economy, that to help with the so-called deregulation. Sometimes when you say deregulation, what are you deregulating? It means you are abdicating the responsibility of government to Shylocks, to commercialists, to people who are interested not in the national interest or the national cause,
but profit.
The profit, their own concern is the bottom line, regardless of what happens to the citizen, regardless of what happens to the nation's image. Understand? So, in this regard, governments must be focusing more on national interest on this, because that is the essence of Chapter 2 of the Constitution. That is the directive principles and what do you call it? objectives and directive principles of state policy. You understand? So in this regard, the government the government has been doing it, but they must take it more serious, that we cannot afford to abdicate the role of government to Shylocks, to mercantilists, to people who are not interested in the citizens, in the public. And so this decision is a welcome one.
All right, you can join the discussion. The phone lines are open now. You can call us on 0903 22 29797. That's 0903 22 29797. You can also call us on 0818 22 205 or 0818 22, and let us know where you're writing in from. And you can also make a WhatsApp call. Any of them, the numbers are open now. Mr. Solanke, let's look at this story. Why minimum wage payments may delay in the implementation of the new minimum wage. This was even as the Workers' Union absolved the federal government of any wrongdoing, saying it would be unfair to conclude that there was a deliberate attempt to avoid paying the new minimum wage. Deputy President of the others in an interview, and he said, okay, so far only Lagos and Edo claim to have started paying the minimum wage. But the long and short of it is that Labour has called for understanding.
In the government circle, you see, Labour is sometimes perceived as being engaged in rascality. Understand? As if so, it shows that you have realists in the labor movement. You have people who understand the nitty-gritty of government policy process, implementation of government policies. Because policy process, implementation of policy is not what I call acadabra. It's something that abracadabra. It's something that has to be well thought out, because you are coming from a tradition that a lot of things have to be put in place. You understand? So it is not a magic. Policy implementation is not a magic. A reform is not a magic. Things will have to go. There are so many things that have to be factored before you begin implementation of certain ideas, projects, programs that will be in the interest of the citizens, because you do not want to start something and it is while you are implementing that you are not discovering roadblocks before you begin to implement a policy or an idea. You must factor all the roadblocks that you are going to encounter and begin to remove them one by one, so that when the implementation starts, it's going to be smooth sail throughout. Understand? We cannot use the standard of Lagos or some oil-producing states that have, whether in terms of the economy of those states or in terms of the resources,
additional revenues
that comes to them. We cannot use them to generalize in all the states of the federation. So what holes must the government plug to ensure that implementation of this new salary scale system is hitch-free? Because it's definitely, we know that the new minimum wage, which the labor movement agitated, whether you have to borrow, whether you have to suspend some expenditure, some expenditure that you will have to suspend. Those are all the things that you have to factor. So I think it is realism on the part of the labor movement to call for understanding in the implementation of the new minimum wage. Hopefully, when the implementation starts, it will not run into a hitch. We believe that government would have factored all the options that are necessary to serve as bulwark areas of the economy to fund. We cannot be making money and just be pumping it just into overhead. What of the capital project that have to be pursued? What of other areas of social infrastructure that have to be spent money on? So, it new minimum wage.
All right, okay. Still staying with the labor issue, there's this story that has dominated media space throughout this morning, and that's the invitation of the police to the NLC president. And this is how the Punch captured the story. NLC protests as police probe Ajero for terrorism financing. Ajero by the police over issues bordering alleged terrorism financing. The spokesperson for the Congress, Benson Ukpa, made this known in his which was signed by the ACP. Ajero's name was mentioned in ongoing investigations connected to criminal conspiracy, terrorism financing, reasonable felony, subversion, and cybercrime. Accordingly, the letter directed Ajero to report to the RT complex, that's the one at Gusape Junction, threatening that a warrant of arrest would be issued against him if he fails to report. Mr. Sholanke.
Well, I believe Mr. Ajero, Comrade Ajero, is a responsible citizen of the nation, and I believe that he is leading a critical mass of Nigerians. So, invitation by the police is not arrest; it is for clarification. Understand? So, he should, and the public is watching. Understand? I believe the government will not want its image to be soiled in terms of the police will not want to do anything that is going to soil the image of the government. It's an invitation. It's to clarify. So if he's able to defend himself of those allegations, understand? I don't see any reason why they should hold him. If he's claimed to be involved in, let him show up. It is all in the national interest, so that the police is trying to investigate, not necessarily him now.
All right. It's still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. The lines are still open. You can call us on 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818 2222206. A senior member of the media community who is helping us make sense of some of the stories in the papers today. Sri Lanka, let's look at the Supreme Court reserves judgment on Bayelsa Kogi polls. The Supreme Court on Monday reserved judgment on the appeal challenging the re-election of Bayelsa State Governor Duyo Diri. The Electoral Commission declared Diri of the PDP as winner of the November 11, 2023 governorship election. But Timi Preseva of the APC rejected the poll result and challenged it at the petition tribunal. Having lost at the tribunal and the Court of Appeal, Seva further proceeded to the Court of Appeal, praying that Diri's election be set aside. And that was the same thing that happened in Kogi State. So, Mrs. Sholanke.
Well, that's the court of that's the final arbiter of the court. Every person that has anything against a system or a that is how democracy reigns. That is what is called rule of law. But they should not take the liberty, none of them should take the liberty to resort to violence in contesting. You want to serve the public. So it is no longer a personal pursuit. It is now a public interest affair. And if the Supreme Court, if you take the Supreme Court as the final arbiter in any decision, they should abide by it. So it's just be factored in arriving at the final decision. We hope that the putting forward of the time to make judgment is going to be in the overall interest, not just of Bayelsa or Kogi State, but of overall country. And whatever is the outcome of that election, the contenders should take it in good faith that their reason for going to the Supreme Court is also to ensure that order prevails in the country. We must begin to have faith in the judicial processes, in the courts of law. If whatever decision, as I said, whatever decision that comes from this process should be just be taken in good faith, believing that it is in the national interest.
Mr. Solanke, thank God you brought in the issue of the judicial process, but isn't it worrying that the election that held almost a year ago is still in litigation? The elections were held in November, I think.
Okay.
And almost 10 months plus, we are still battling on who was the authentic winner of that election. And somebody is already in office, or people are already in office, while we are still litigating. Does this not speak to our judicial process about sort these things out?
No, I would not want to subscribe to the. Is it only election that takes such a long period to arrive at the final decision? If you are calling for swiftness in arriving at a conclusion in the process, it should go all around. It's not just election. It should go all around. So in this case, what we can be advocating for is our judicial process, whatever, just not about the election. The entire gamut of our judicial processes should be swift, should not be too costly, it should not be too politicized. That is national life or public life, even private life, that goes into litigation. What can make the judiciary more effective? It is beyond election. We know that our judiciary, there's lethargy in our judicial process sometimes. So what we should be looking for is beyond election. How can our judiciary be more nimble, smarter, whatever that can cause delay? How can those bottlenecks be removed? Not just about the election.
All right, still talking about the judiciary, and there's this story in the Guardian newspaper. Appeal court to hear case on ex-CJN Onegen's report, a removal from office. And former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onnoghen, will on Tuesday, that's today, at the Court of Appeal in Abuja, resume his legal battle against the Code of Conduct Tribunal judgment that ordered his removal from office in 2019. The suit was filed at the Court of Appeal in April 2019. The former held against him in April 18, 2019 on various counts. This is another case, 2019, Mr. Solanke, and this is 2024.
It still boils down to what we said before, that the process should be swift. All bottlenecks should be removed in judicial, whatever litigation is on. Bottlenecks be read. You understand? And that is one of the reasons why people will not have faith in the whatever process in the country. We must begin to develop, when the process runs smoothly, there's orderliness in the society, there's faith in the society, in our public life, so that hopefully the man that went to the court to challenge the CCT something is right. Whenever you see any infraction, you cannot afford to resort to
self-help.
It's right to pursue it to a logical conclusion, so that we can explore. Because when cases like this are subjected to the entire gamut of the processes, we can now see issues, and it's going to be served as precedent in future, so that when similar things come up in the future, you have something to point out that when in this so and so case, this is how it was resolved, no matter how long it is. But again, what we always plead is our processes should be smooth, resorting to underhand resolution that will not let us see how the public life should actually be run, whether at the judicial level, at the executive level, or at the legislative level.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Solanke. Let's move on to some politics now. And Edo State, we go ahead of the Guba election.
Good.
And INEC to present final copy of voter register to parties in Edo State. The Independent National Electoral Commission will today present soft copies of final and comprehensive register of voters to each political party that fielded candidates for the Edo governorship election. And the Commission's chairman, Mahmoud Yakub, stated this yesterday in his remark at a meeting with resident electoral commissioners in Abuja. Yakubu equally appealed for patience to Ondo elect in November. Mr. Cholanke, apart from this, the Edo election and to some extent the Ondo elections, all we've heard bickerings among political parties on who is the authentic candidate, who should represent. Issues are not being thrown up, issues that concern the people. And this is always the case when we have elections forthcoming. Issue of somebody who cannot speak the language of a particular set, issue of somebody who is not an indigene. These are all we get to hear, and not things that really affect the lives of the people.
It has always been of concern to me that what we see as politics in Nigeria is usually not of public interest. What has some of those things that they are bickering over, what has it got to do with the life of the ordinary citizen? What has it got to do with revamping the economy of a state? What has it got to do with improving infrastructure in the state? What has it got to do with other areas of life that the citizens will enjoy? When people bicker like this, you see that it is not in public interest. It is because they are in pursuit of the private pecuniary interest. And so they will attempt to undo or undercut any other opponent. For somebody to have paid his tax in a particular state for so long, and you want to, on that basis, bicker over whether he's qualified to run, for God's sake. Are we reasoning as citizens that is public spirited? Are we reasoning like citizens or contenders that are actually coming into the race to serve the public, to serve the public interest? Is it our private agenda that we want to come and pursue, our private ambition that we want to, because I want to reach, when I get to this is the next stage I will reach in life, this is the next stage I will reach in life? What are you coming there to do? Is it just for your ambition? Or, and this is where we must begin to interrogate the notion of public service. What are we coming into public service for? Is it for self-enrichment? Is it for self-aggrandizement? Many actors in public space now, they are not in the public's domain to serve the public. It is either to make wealth, to make money. And that is why some people will unnecessarily invest to make money, to make profit. Politics has been commercialized in Nigeria, has been commercialized in our polity. We should begin to, and this is where the National Orientation Agency has critical role to play in the life of this nation. We must begin to see politics beyond pecuniary, beyond self-interest, beyond group interest or whatever other interest that people come. We must begin to see politics as adding value to public life, to the life of the average citizen. So anybody that is coming to politics, do you have the criteria, the credential, the competencies, not emotion? People come into politics agenda, personal agenda, and that is why they will go to any length to fight over it. When you know that this candidate has it more than you, but because you have money more than him, you want to say you are the better candidate. You have the resources to buy the electorate. And this is where, again, the National Orientation Agency has a critical role to play in our life, so that political sensitization, political mobilization, so that the citizen begin to have credible ideas, notions about who best represent our collective interest, who approximates the overall public to be doing for us now, to be mobilizing, to be sensitizing, to be doing a lot, to be reorienting the public, the ordinary citizen, to know his right, to give him choices, credible choices, to open his eyes to the possibilities in the choice of a candidate, understand, and the choice of who represents you in your community?
Mr. Sholanke, this that every politics is local, and at the local level, everybody knows what they want. They know what is good and what is bad, but that is different from the reality. When people look up to candidates and contest, you can give how many bags of rice you can share, how many loaves of bread you can give, how can you attend their burial ceremony or their children's weddings and stuff like that. Those are the issues, and the politicians know this because they are very smart people. The moment people start asking critical questions, they start adjusting. But when people also look for crumbs, they are okay with it. So the National Orientation Agency, are they going to they are not going to make it a fiat into law that people will need to ask certain questions, and the reality on ground does not even support any kind of orientation.
You see, when the third body that the government floated, mass mobilization for MAMSA, understand? You see, I want to give it to those who gave MAMSA a thought. You see,
Professor Jerry Garnaut.
Yes, he was just the DG or the head of the one that drove MAMSA something. You see, orientation, mass mobilization is not for politics alone. Development, that is mobilizing people for overall development at the individual level, at the communal level, at the national level. And when we say development, go and read how Walter Rodney defined development. You are going to be amazed at the extent of that definition of development. At the private level, there must be making for people to be self-empowered economically. When people are empowered economically, nobody will come and throw crumbs at them and they will take. Understand? So when we are talking about mobilization, we are not talking about just politics, just for people to know there's something. We are talking about at the social level, so that people can begin to be developed at the mental, at the intellectual level, at the social level. My brother or fellow citizens, if people are developed all right, when we talk about all right development, and it is not just at the, we should take it to the government level. What should government be investing in? So that when government is investing in those critical areas, citizens will not even need the crumbs of, whether in terms of the subsidy you provide or in terms of the framework that you put in place, that people have access to them. Nobody comes to you to come and dangle carrots at you, because you know that when the system is okay, you will always have it. So what we are talking about is overall development in the country. That one is going to reduce the influence of money politics. So it's a long journey. It's a road to Canaan land. It's not something.
For review on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja today. Let's make it a date tomorrow. My name is Lawrence Sumoiti. Enjoy the rest of your day.